Hello, everybody, and welcome to the finals of our very first StarCraft Underground paid tournament. In our final matchup today, here in the top right, representing our yellow Terran, we have WolFix. And down here in the bottom left, representing our green Protoss, the one and only Fischei. This merge match is going to be taking place on Eclipse, just as always. Mineral hatch just outside the main, down the ramp for both players. With the third up the way. And fourth, and mineral patch out here, no man's land on both sides. Now this is the very first championship of StarCraft Underground where we have had a prize payout for the winner. So the winner of this best of 3 is going to be taking home $50. Exciting news. Now, just so happened to fall for me, the casting of these two players. I have cast a lot of WolFix and not so much for Fischei. So Fischei's playstyle is going to be new to me. Curious to see what Fischei's going to do. WolFix, on the other hand, I do know quite a bit about. We may see some early tank pressure with WolFix. I've seen WolFix do a vulture and tank push early on at this point. Well, I've also seen some probes be very slippery in this tournament. So I'm going to kind of keep an eye on this probe just to see how long this probe's going to stay alive. WolFix is very good at early game pressure, though, so I'm gonna guess that this game's not going to drag on into the late game. Not unless Fischei really pushes the issue here. Let's see what Fischei's got going on down here back at base. Okay. Choosing to go with a gateway instead of the forge there. Let's see how that pays off. I'm not much of a Protoss player, so I'm not really sure what determines the build order on whether or not you're when to go forge or when to go gateway at this wall here. But either way, not going to keep the SCV out for WolFix. This probe just being slippery as all can be. Marine should be good enough to run that off, though. Okay. So, in this scenario, I would look for WolFix to do one more Marine, which he may not be doing that. May skip the second Marine, and then either go directly into tank. Okay, there's the second Marine, or do 1 or 2 vultures. Might start another factory and get machine shop on this one, and then that way we'll get vulture production and tank production going at the same time. Be curious to see what route WolFix decides to take here, but I'm definitely expecting some early game pressure here, though, because that's definitely what WolFix has been doing to all their opponents starting out. Fischei, on the other hand, going to be getting your Dragoons out of the battlefield. Going to be looking to try to get some early map presence over here on WolFix's side of the battlefield, just in case WolFix decides to move out. Fischei's going to have an early warning of that. And there's the vulture we're going to see with the machine shop. We'll likely see another factory go down soon. Okay, vulture's going to be able to take out the probe there. Dragoon should just about be here. There it is. Harassing the Zealot. This Dragoon should be good enough to push this vulture away. Okay, Marine's going to come down the ramp, push this small army back. Even the SCV getting some damage in there. Meanwhile, that vulture, I see it down here on the map, sneaking around here. WolFix's SCV still scouting. Does it not look like the vulture's going to be able to sneak in here? The pylon that got thrown down there is going to block the pathing of the vulture, deny entry to the natural here. Well, WolFix good on just sitting here and shelling the gateway for now. No second machine shop coming up just yet, but we do see tanks on the way. Okay, gonna throw down a bunker to try to contain Fischei here. Fischei gonna try to put down another gateway inside the main, seeing that this one's in danger. Likely gonna lose this one. Starting a probe transfer here into the natural. I'm not sure if the gateway was the right choice in this particular case. I wonder, again, I'm not a Protoss player, so take this as a grain of sand, but I wonder if the Forge would have been the better play. That would have given Fischei at least some static defense here in the natural. At this point, this is not looking good for Fischei already. And this is kind of what I expect to see from WolFix. A lot of early game pressure. WolFix is able to get his tanks out very quickly, and not a lot of players are able to handle that kind of early pressure with the tank push. We're likely going to see some more tanks or vultures coming down to support this, and I think Fischei's going to have a hard time defending this. This might actually spell disaster for Fischei. Yeah, this natural is going to go down. Not really anything. This Dragoon's really the only army that Fischei's got at this point. Another, yeah, and that's going to be game. So that's kind of what I expect to see from WolFix at this point in the game, this late in the game. As many times as I've cast WolFix's play, like I said, WolFix is very good at getting early pressure on like that with the tank pressure. Surprised we didn't see some more vultures there, but I'm not sure they were entirely necessary. But good first game. Let's see what's in store for us in round 2 here. All right, here we go. Let's get into match number 2 between these two players and our final match of our paid tournament. All right. Here in the top right, representing our green Protoss, we have Fischei. And in the bottom left, representing our black Terran, WolFix. The second match going to be taking place on Roaring Currents. This is a 2-player map with a natural expansion just outside the main on the same level. A third just beyond that, with the fourth on a raised platform for both players. So in a lot of ways in this map, the fourth tends to be the safer location just due to the high ground that you can hold here for both players. The third here is kind of out at no man's land and able to get shot at and trample across pretty easily. The weird feature with this map actually is all the water that runs through. You've got bases out here and no man's land that have to be flown to even get there. Even these mineral patches just off the side here, only reachable by aircraft. So that's these mineral patches here, here, and also this one way out here in the side. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players adapt to this interesting terrain. This map is not one that typically follows the same formula that you would see on most of the other maps, like Eclipse, where we have a natural located down a ramp outside the main. This one's on the same level with the ramp just outside the natural. So, be interested to see how the players adapt to that, if that makes any difference on their play styles, what they choose to do here. I don't think we'll see much of a difference in what WolFix decides to go for as far as build order. As I stated in the first match between these two players, WolFix really shines on the early game pressure with Vulture and Tank push, sometimes supported with Marines, as he did in match 1 there. Okay, so both players looking to go for the natural expansion here. WolFix not even throwing down the barracks just yet, taking the second instead. This little probe being slippery though. Ooh, just about taken out here. A couple more little hits from the SCVs might do it for this probe. Meanwhile, SCV over here in Fischei's base just sees a big mineral right here. He decides to go ahead and try to mine that one. That's the wrong one, SCV. And there we finally see the barracks come down for WolFix. Looks like the probe might actually make it out of here. The shield's able to recharge, so probe's doing all right. It's doing its job. Gonna block off the backside of the mineral patch with the supply depot. Nexus just getting done at the natural here for Fischei. Got a cybernetic score going down already. And WolFix being cheeky, as we've seen. I've only seen WolFix do one other cheeky move with a proxy Rax. I believe it was in round 2 of this tournament, but another cheeky move here by WolFix, throwing down an eBay here in the mineral line of Fischei. That's going to just make mining all that more awkward for the probes here. Kind of forces them to come off this certain way and bunches them up and makes the pathing really weird. So that's just a headache. That's just a headache to deal with. So WolFix being a little cheeky here in match number 2. Just continuing on their day, though. We've got a factory on the way. There we go. The Zealot able to come up and clear out the eBay finally, so probes are going to be able to go about their day like normal now. Dragoon's almost done here. We've got a bunker in production. Looks like that's going to be watching over the natural ramp. Factory's about done. One Marine's already done, loaded into the bunker. Here comes another one. Going to be hopping in. Curious to see if we're going to go immediately into a machine shop here or queue a vulture. What's it going to be? WolFix. Okay, going into machine shop, so going to be pushing for early tanks. And from what I can tell, it looks like Fischei's going to be trying to get some Dragoons out. Not so much worrying with the Zealots. I'm going to try to come over here and get some early map detection, just like last game. Okay. Here we see WolFix going to be flying the barracks over. You see this a lot in TVT matches. Both players decide to fly the barracks over, scout each other's base out, but here we might just see WolFix land the barracks here just to prevent anything from walking in freely. Alright, looks like Fischei's got a starport down somewhere. Here it is, Stargate, sorry. Up here by the assimilator. Dragoon attack range on the way. I've got to say, I think I would have liked to have seen a forge out here for Fischei with some static defense. Just for something. Photon cannons. That may be a waste for a Protoss player versus a Terran. I'm not sure. You guys let me know what you think on that. But Fischei definitely seems to think that going Stargate is going to be a good option here, though. Definitely going into that. You see we've got Fleet Beacon being constructed here. Pylons being thrown down around the outside here. I guess that's going to be for flight detection here on the primary. But we might see... I'm guessing we're going to see carrier since we've got a Fleet Beacon going down. I don't think I've seen any carriers yet at all. And here we go, though. This could be my first time. First time for everything, I suppose. Nice healthy amount of Dragoons right here guarding the natural. Meanwhile, we've got tanks galore down here for WolFix. Both players seem to kind of be on the lookout for an air attack this time. Is she hiding a probe back here on this back line? I'm guessing Fischei's going to be watching out for if WolFix takes this third or not. But here we see it move out with 3 Wraiths and a couple tanks and a dropship. That's going to be flying in over the mineral line down here. Dragoons are already kind of in place to intercept this. Cloak is being researched. About 60% of the way there right now. Corsair catches them on the way in. So Fischei's going to be aware of that before they get here. But the tanks here likely going to go into siege mode here. Is that going to have the range on this mineral line? They do. That's going to cause a problem for Fischei here on this mineral line. So good map awareness there for WolFix and the placement of this tank. Able to kind of sit here and harass this mineral line. It's going to keep Fischei off of here until Fischei can respond with that. Fischei does have carriers in production, though. So as long as Fischei's going to be able to keep these wraiths off the carriers, the carrier should be able to come down here and fight this with the dragoons in tow. Of course, we've got to get the interceptors queued up first. Another dropship on the way. This is not good for Fischei. Every second that he loses right here on this mineral line puts him that much further behind in economy versus WolFix. So Fischei knows that, and you see up here, Fischei's going to be taking a third. Not going to be able to get any mining done here on this base. I would look to see if we're going to get a drop ship, so we can do a probe transfer across here without WolFix seeing that. WolFix really kind of digging himself in right here, which why wouldn't you, I suppose. Good harassment here from WolFix on this mineral line. This has got to be a pain in the butt for Fischei to deal with. Got 5 wraiths here. Some Marines being dropped off to get into this bunker. There we go. We'll finally see some photon cannons coming down. So some static defense here in the third. Probe transfer going to be happening here. Okay, so wraiths now have cloak available. They're going to be freely coming in over the mineral line here. Observer not done yet, but on the way. And these wraiths doing a hurting on the carriers here. Oh no, yeah, they're likely going to get this. And the scan goes down. And there we have it. The wraith harassment. Too much for Fischei to handle. Ladies and gentlemen, your first paid StarCraft Underground champion, WolFix. Congratulations, WolFix. Well played. Well played, both players. If you enjoyed this video or you want to take part in these tournaments or just join us in the StarCraft Underground, feel free to do that. I'll have the link in the description. We should be starting up another paid tournament here before too long. The one and only Mr. Manshark will have that in production. And we'll be notifying everyone when he can. But until then, take it easy.